So how far is too far? But here's the real problem. It's not just about chasing a bigger physique, it's about the mental health toll this takes on young men. More and more people, especially teenagers, are developing body dysmorphia, a condition where they become obsessed with perceived flaws in their own appearance.
Hey there my fit and geeky people. On today's video, we're doing a reaction on a video on the rise of the physique inflation. So what that means is that pretty much we've noticed it over the past decade or so. We had like superheroes who looked like that and the superheroes who now look like this from Marvel. And yeah, it's inflation everywhere, not just on the cost of living, but also in the physiques we see today.
Stepping into the world of testosterone, not because I need validation, not because I'm chasing numbers or approval, but because I have more to prove to myself. The version of me you thought you knew, he's gone.
So every day, I have to wake up and I have to show the world that I'm a man. It's not enough that I am a man. I have to now prove my worth.
You mentioned from personal experience being aware of the dark side of anabolic use. What is that?
How long do you have? Anxiety like you would not believe.
This was considered a superhero physique in 2002, while today, a physique like this is considered out of shape. Why has our perception of what a good physique is gotten so warped? How can a Mr. Olympia be considered a dad bod? And today, with people jumping on PEDs after less than 1 year of training, what can we even do to stop this terrifying evolution and downward spiral?
Can you rate this one?
Can't see him.
Oh. And so they quite literally show Chris Bumstead, who's maybe gained 10 pounds of body fat and grew a beard, said, "Ooh, it's so wonderful now, it's a 10. Oh no, it's still only a 7, it's a 2. I don't like that." Really? What is wrong with you?
Now let's take a step back to try understanding where this all began. For a long time, Barbie had been considered a symbol of body dysmorphia in younger girls, and has, according to many, promoted unrealistic expectations of the human body, which could cause young girls to compare themselves to this idealized physique and appearance, and in return, reduce their own self-esteem. Now, I'm not gonna look down on that and say that they're wrong, but I want to approach this situation from a different point of view, because recently, this issue has emerged for a lot of guys. For reference, here are some of the action figures I grew up with in the early 2000s. The Hulk, Ninja Turtles, and X-Men figures who are better built than any natural gym goer, with physiques considered out of this world. And these are the movies and TV shows many of us grew up watching. Dragon Ball Z, virtually every action movie in the 80s and 90s, even James Bond went from looking pretty alright to this in the span of a few movies. And most superheroes nowadays look like they're just a few weeks away from stepping on stage in bodybuilding. Now, I don't think casting buff guys for movie roles is the worst offender, but over the last few decades, these next level physiques have been pushed into our daily lives and entertainment. Everywhere you look, people posted in the magazines, in movies, and commercials are all in tremendous shape, while at the same time, everyone is going about how you should accept yourself for who you are and just love yourself regardless. Creating...
It's not really crazy to say that, because I grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s. I know I'm old. Yeah, shut up. And yeah, we had G.I. Joe toys, Batman, Superman animated series, comic books, all this Arnold Schwarzenegger's on TV, Van Damme, they're all jacked. And we looked up to that, but I don't actually remember being like, I want to be that jacked. I don't remember that. I thought we would just watch it, have fun, that was it. But I have a feeling because of social media, it's pushed that heavily. Like it really pushes that heavily. Probably that's why we're seeing any sort of like a massive inflation in physiques now.
Quite an oxymoron, but that's nothing compared to the current era of social media. People nowadays are so constantly glued to their phones, a tool which should in theory help us with communication, with education, and understanding more of the outside world and problem solving. But rather, through the use of social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, many are left endlessly scrolling, with an algorithm designed to keep you hooked and wanting more of that content you enjoy. So if you've watched a few workout tutorials, maybe some memes about training or fitness, you will quickly be dragged into a rabbit hole of impressive physiques, far overreaching what is naturally obtainable. Maybe you just started with the idea that a six-pack was all you wanted to feel good, but after repeated exposure to the top 1% of gym goers, now you want bigger arms, rounder shoulders, a chest like Arnold's, and maybe if you're crazy enough, you want to compete in bodybuilding and to get into absurd low levels of body fat. And these ideals just keep piling up, even inside of the fitness community. Take a look at men's physique. Back in 2010 and 2012, their physiques were more reminiscent of a built beach body, still somewhat realistic and appealing for the average guy. While in 2024, these guys look like full-fledged bodybuilders. Just look at the current men's physique Mr. Olympia, Ryan Terry, who has been competing at the top level for over a decade. This was him in 2015, and this is him after winning this year. There's probably a good 25 pounds of muscle added to his frame in that time span. And it's not just men's physique. Classic physique, which was originally introduced as a return to a more aesthetic bodybuilding standard, has expanded its weight classes several times to accommodate for increasingly massive massive physiques. So how far is too far? But
Yeah, I mean, I follow bodybuilding, and I've followed bodybuilding for years now, and we just see every division gets bigger and bigger and freakier. And see, even the women's division as well, they get more leaner and just more jacked. So so you can see how the inflation, and if you're on social media, that's what you get exposed to, and you kind of start having this warped sort of view of, or the idea of world and reality and social media and all that doesn't really mix. So you just think like, I'm the only person who doesn't have this physique, but everyone else does.
not just about chasing a bigger physique, it's about the mental health toll this takes on young men. More and more people, especially teenagers, are developing body dysmorphia, a condition where they become obsessed with perceived flaws in their own appearance. And it's no longer just about being lean or fit, it's about never feeling good enough, never feeling big enough, and no matter how much progress you make. The numbers speak for themselves.
You mentioned from personal experience being aware of the dark side of anabolic use. What is that?
How long do you have? Anxiety like you would not believe. Every day that I'm on high doses, I wake up in the morning afraid of the rest of my day.
Studies have shown that the use of performance-enhancing drugs like anabolic steroids is on the rise in young men. Even those who've only been training for a short time, they feel like they need to take these substances to keep up with the unrealistic standards set by social media. Trends like looks maxing, influencers, and the fitness industry as a whole. This could be incredibly dangerous, not only for their physical health, but also for their mental well-being. And that's without mentioning that PEDs can lead to long-term health consequences, including heart disease, liver damage, hormonal imbalances, but the psychological impacts are just as severe. Imagine, say, you take something for 3 to 4 years, you put on an absurd amount of muscle, and you get a physique that...
The scary part about all this, because we actually do have bodybuilding veterans and people who've been in the fitness industry for a long period of time who've used enhancements, and they'll talk about the side effects and how it's changed their lives like completely. And still, there's young boys out there, young men, who would pursue this route regardless, even without taking any caution. And as just let me know if you're a gym goer, a regular frequent gym goer who's gone for years. There was a young group of young boys who joined the gym, and within like a few months, they're bigger than you, and you're just like, what's going on? Did puberty just hit or what?
You've always wanted. But once you get there, you still don't feel like it's enough. Then once you realize you can't stay on that stuff forever, you drop the dosages and the muscles you've built slowly dwindles away, causing you to think even worse of your current physique than what you did starting out.
There's a disorder called muscle dysmorphia, sometimes known as bigorexia. It's a type of body dysmorphic disorder where someone perceives their body shape as a distressing flaw in their appearance that doesn't line up with how they might actually look.
The constant pressure to maintain or even surpass these exaggerated physiques can lead to anxiety, depression, and even eating disorders. So how can we stop this madness? First of all, we should promote transparency. Fitness influencers and public figures need to be more transparent about what it takes to actually achieve their physiques, whether that involves years of hard work, strict dieting, or even PEDs. Honesty about the entire process can help set more realistic expectations for many. If people knew that many of these physiques were not obtainable naturally, it might alleviate some of the pressure. But they should also talk about the negative experiences if they decide to be open about it, since many will just promote the positive aspects of, say, taking care, giving a false assumption that you can take these substances for a long time while being very healthy. 2, we should encourage balance. The fitness industry should start promoting a more balanced approach to health and fitness, one that emphasizes not just aesthetics, but strength, mobility, mental health, and just overall well-being. And even though it's kind of a meme, hybrid athletes, calisthenics guys, and even powerlifting takes away a lot of those body expectations and focuses on how you can use your muscles instead of being fixated on how they look. There's also education and awareness. Schools, gyms, and online communities should focus on educating young people about the dangers of body dysmorphia, PED use, and unrealistic fitness standards. Offering tools and resources to deal with these pressures can help protect future generations from falling into the same traps. Especially for the next generation who tend to get more of their information from social media, critical thinking can be key. And finally, we need to foster a culture of self-acceptance. It's okay to have...
It's essential for the fitness influencers and the veterans to sort of educate the next generation, but there's a fine line with that, because they could release their dosages, what they did in the past, and be like XP, but to someone else, they'll look at, oh, this is what this guy took to get him there. You see, yes, it's a bit of a slippery slope, that one. And also, like, education in school, I think that's essential. But it's difficult if you still go social media, and social media is just pushing the top 10% in the industry, and they just look like absolutely amazing. They look like gods up there. So to a certain extent, like, yeah, they need to be educated on this stuff, but social media, that's what social media pushes. All the nutrition companies, the clothing companies, they want the best of the best. So it's a difficult one. If you're someone who's naturally built, it's so difficult to get into the industry and break through.
Fitness goals and to strive for continuous improvement. I do that myself all the time. But it's also important to accept where you are in your journey and not feel like you have to live up to somebody else's standards, and actually be happy with the results you've gotten. And if you're not able to enjoy the journey of lifting, building muscle, and the gym as a whole, then you're not gonna find the end results to be that appealing either. Because once you get there, you still have to keep working to maintain it. That's also what a guy like Sam Sulek preaches. Yes, even though he's on stuff, he's arguably just a guy enjoying the gym experience, seeing gains, and having fun while he can. The bottom line is that we need to be aware of how these things affect us, because these are not visible issues. If you just started out in the gym, you'll probably look at one of the bigger guys and think, wow, he has great physique, and you just assume that he's happy with it. But in reality, he may be taking gear, tearing himself down every day just because he's not where he wants to be, messing up his long-term health and life quality to get one step closer to that idea of a perfect physique, which he in reality will never reach.
Your body was trying to kill you.
Absolutely. Just before I turned 50, I had the heart surgery. That's when I afterwards came out of it and said, you're now damaged goods.
I figured this video would be a bit different to my usual format, but because I've seen a lot of these issues firsthand through friends and clients, hopefully covering...
That's a very good video from Bat Guy. And also, just to add on top of that, in the fitness industry, you got the Mr. Olympia, you got the top 10 Mr. Olympians. Not Mr. Olympians, but the top 10 Olympians. And they got scrutinized. Even the guy who placed first, Mr. Olympia, they get really scrutinized. Like, this guy's reached the best physique on the planet. And still, people make him feel insecure about maybe he's got a lagging back, he's not as conditioned. And I'm literally like, Jesus, this guy's reached the best bodybuilder on the planet. So you can see how that could be hard for just a normal Joe just down the street who just want to get fit. You start looking, oh, my arms are not big enough. My chest is not big enough. But I always think it's like, when it comes to fitness, it should be something of I'll say use it as a passion, a hobby, stress relief, end of the day, go break some sweat, get healthy, get back to health and fitness. It's not about being jacked every time. That thing comes and goes. But it still does feel nice, putting on some muscle and looking good. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's something to be very mindful when you start venturing into PED use and enhancements. So yeah, if you found the video interesting, leave your thoughts down below, leave a sub, leave a like, and you know what? Till next time,